Dr. Helen Martinez stood in the medical bay of the orbital station, watching Earth turn slowly below her. The blue planet looked peaceful from here, but she knew that would change soon. The message that arrived 3 hours ago would change everything, for humanity. The communication device on her desk beeped softly. She touched the screen and saw the alien symbols again. Her computer had already translated the words, but she read them one more time to be sure. People of Earth, we are the Galactic Medical Coalition. We have watched your world for many years. We have seen your doctors save lives in ways that seem impossible. We need your help. A great sickness is killing millions across 12 worlds. Our best minds cannot stop it. Please help us save our people. Helen had been Earth's chief medical officer for space missions for 5 years. She had always dreamed of the day when humans would meet other intelligent life. But she never imagined it would be like this, with aliens begging for medical help. She walked to the communication room where Commander Jake Sullivan was waiting. Jake ran the military side of the space station. He was a good man, but he always thought like a soldier first. Have you made your decision, Doctor? Jake asked. We have to help them, Helen said. These are entire civilizations dying from disease. We have the medical knowledge they need. Jake nodded, but his face looked worried. I agree we should help, but something about this message bothers me. I sent a copy to Admiral Crawford on Luna Base. She wants to review it before we respond. Helen felt frustrated. People are dying. Right now, Jake. Every hour we wait, more people die. We should send medical teams immediately. I understand your urgency, Jake said, but this is first contact with alien life. We need to be careful. 2 hours later, Admiral Lisa Crawford arrived on the station. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Helen had worked with her before and respected her, even when they disagreed. Show me everything, Admiral Crawford said. They gathered in the main conference room. Jake played the alien message again, and Helen showed her medical analysis of what the aliens had described. The symptoms they described match several Earth diseases, Helen explained. But this seems to spread faster and kill more people. If we combine our antiviral treatments with new surgical techniques, we might be able to save millions of lives. Admiral Crawford studied the data for a long time. Finally, she spoke. Dr. Martinez, I admire your desire to help, but I have concerns about this situation. What concerns? Helen asked. The timing is too perfect, the Admiral said. These aliens have been watching us for years, but they only contact us now when they have a crisis. Also, look at this part of the message. The Admiral pointed to a section of the alien text. They mention that this disease is affecting 12 worlds, but they only started seeing it 3 months ago. That means it spread across multiple star systems very quickly. Jake leaned forward. You think this might not be a natural disease? Think we need more information before we send our people into what might be a trap, Admiral Crawford said. Helen stood up, feeling angry. Admiral, with respect, you are thinking like a soldier. I am thinking like a doctor. People are dying, even if there is some political situation we don't understand. The medical crisis is real. I'm not saying we shouldn't help, the Admiral replied calmly. I'm saying we should help smartly. The debate continued for hours. Helen argued that humanity's first contact with aliens should show them that humans were healers and helpers. She wanted to send hospital ships, medical supplies, and volunteer doctors to the affected worlds. Admiral Crawford had different ideas. She believed that any response should include military protection. If this is a biological weapon being used by some hostile force, our medical teams would be walking into danger, she said. Jake found himself caught between the two women. He understood both viewpoints. As a military commander, he knew the value of caution, but as a human being, he wanted to help the dying aliens. Captain Ryan Blake joined the discussion by video link from his ship, the USS Defender. Ryan was one of Earth's best ship commanders, and his opinion carried weight with everyone. I've been analyzing the transmission data, Ryan said. The signal came from the edge of our solar system, not from the affected worlds. Someone brought this message to us rather than sending it directly. What does that mean? Helen asked. It could mean the affected worlds are under quarantine, Ryan explained, or it could mean someone else wants us to get involved in this situation. Admiral Crawford nodded. That supports my concerns. This feels like we're being manipulated into taking action. Helen felt her patience running out. Even if that's true, it doesn't change the fact that people are dying. Are we going to let political concerns stop us from saving lives? No, Admiral Crawford said, but we're going to save lives intelligently. The Admiral stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Here's what we're going to do. We will respond to this request for medical aid. Dr. Martinez will lead the medical mission with hospital ships and supplies. Helen felt relieved, but the Admiral wasn't finished. However, the medical mission will be escorted by a full military fleet under Captain Blake's command. If this is a genuine medical crisis, our military ships will help with logistics and protection. If this is something else, we'll be prepared. Admiral, that seems like overkill, Helen protested. We're supposed to be showing these aliens that humans are peaceful healers. Doctor, we're showing them that humans are smart enough to help others while protecting ourselves, the Admiral replied. Captain Blake, how long will you need to prepare your fleet? Ryan's image on the screen looked thoughtful. Give me 72 hours to assemble the ships and brief the crews. We'll need 3 hospital ships and 6 escort vessels minimum. Make it happen, Admiral Crawford ordered. Helen felt conflicted. She was getting her medical mission, but it would look more like an invasion than a humanitarian effort. Admiral, what if the aliens see our warships and think we're hostile? Then we'll explain that humans believe in protecting those who heal, the Admiral said. Any civilization that has a problem with that might not be trustworthy. Jake looked at both women. There's one more thing we need to consider. This will be humanity's first official contact with alien civilizations. Whatever we do, we're setting a precedent for all future interactions. Admiral Crawford smiled grimly. Exactly. And I want that precedent to be clear. Humanity will help those in need, but we're nobody's victims. Helen realized that the decision was final. In 3 days, Earth would launch its first interstellar mission. It would be part medical relief effort and part military expedition. She hoped they were making the right choice. As the meeting ended, Helen returned to her medical bay to begin preparations. She had a lot of work to do. Supplies to organize, medical teams to brief, and treatment protocols to develop. But she couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would be unlike anything she had trained for. Outside the station windows, Earth continued its peaceful rotation. Soon, ships would leave this world carrying humanity's response to the galaxy's plea for help. They would carry healing in one hand and strength in the other, ready for whatever waited among the stars. 3 days later, the Earth fleet was ready to depart. Dr. Helen Martinez stood on the bridge of the hospital ship Hippocrates, watching the final preparations. Through the viewport, she could see Captain Ryan Blake's warship USS Defender alongside 5 other military vessels. The sight still made her uncomfortable. The Hippocrates was the largest medical ship Earth had ever built. It carried advanced surgical equipment, laboratories, and enough medical supplies to treat thousands of patients. 2 smaller hospital ships, Hope and Mercy, flanked them on either side. All ships report ready for departure, announced Lieutenant Amy Foster from the communications station. Amy was young but had proven herself reliable during the mission planning. She would be their link to both the alien civilizations and Earth Command. Helen walked over to Amy's station. Have you established contact with the Galactic Medical Coalition yet? Yes, Doctor. They responded to our departure message an hour ago. They seem very grateful that Earth is sending help. Amy paused and looked uncertain, but they also seem confused about something. Confused about what? Amy pulled up the alien message on her screen. They keep asking about the size of our response. They say they expected a small medical team, not an entire fleet. Helen felt her concerns returning. Maybe Admiral Crawford had been wrong to send so many warships. What did you tell them? I explained that Earth wants to provide the best possible medical assistance. I didn't mention the military escort directly. Captain Blake's voice came over the communication system. All ships, prepare for jump to hyperspace. We're heading to the Kepler system first. That's where the coalition says the disease is spreading fastest. Helen returned to her medical bay where her team was making final preparations. Dr. Paul Garcia, her assistant director, was checking the surgical equipment one more time. Paul had volunteered for this mission even though he had a family back on Earth. "Are you nervous, Paul?" Helen asked. "A little," he admitted. "I've never treated alien patients before. What if their biology is completely different from humans?" "The Coalition sent us medical data about the affected species," Helen said. "Most of them have similar basic biology to humans. Blood, organs, nervous systems. Our treatments should work with minor adjustments." Nurse Lisa Kim joined their conversation. "Dr. Martinez, I've been thinking about something. If this disease is as bad as they say, why haven't these advanced civilizations been able to cure it? They have interstellar travel, so their technology must be better than ours." Helen had wondered the same thing. Maybe they're too specialized. Earth medicine developed by solving many different problems. We might see solutions they missed. The ship shuddered slightly as they entered hyperspace. Helen felt a mix of excitement and worry. In 6 hours, they would reach their first alien. Whirled on the USS Defender, Captain Blake was having his own concerns. His intelligence officer, Commander Nick Torres, had been analyzing all available data about their destination. "Captain, I found some inconsistencies in the Coalition's reports," Nick said. "They claim the Kepler system has been evacuated, except for medical personnel, but I'm detecting energy signatures that suggest much larger populations." Blake studied the data. "Could be power plants running automated systems in empty cities. Possibly, but some of these energy patterns look like weapon signatures to me." Blake made a decision. "When we arrive, we'll do a full sensor sweep before the medical ships approach the planet. I want to know exactly what's down there. The medical team won't like delays," Nick pointed out. "Dr. Martinez will understand if I explain the safety concerns," Blake said. He hoped that was true. 6 hours later, the Earth fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler system. Helen watched the main screen as an alien world appeared before them. It was a beautiful blue and green planet, much like Earth. "It's incredible," Paul whispered. "Our first alien world." Lieutenant Foster's voice interrupted their wonder. "Captain Blake is requesting all medical ships hold position while his fleet scans the system." Helen felt frustrated. More delays. People are dying down. There. The wait lasted 30 minutes. Finally, Blake's voice came over the communications. "Medical ships are cleared to approach the planet. We've identified landing zones near the major population centers." As the Hippocrates descended through the planet's atmosphere, Helen got her first close look at alien architecture. The cities looked empty from above, but she could see lights in many buildings. The landing zone was a large, open area near what appeared to be a hospital complex. As the ship touched down, Helen could see figures waiting for them. Her first glimpse of alien life forms. The aliens were humanoid but taller than humans, with pale blue skin and large eyes. They wore white clothing that looked like medical uniforms. One of them approached the ship. Dr. Martinez and her team put on their protective suits and left the ship. The lead alien stepped forward and spoke in accented but understandable English. "I am Dr. Vex of the Kepler Medical Authority. We are grateful for Earth's assistance." Vex paused and looked around at all the ships. "We were not expecting such a large response." "Earth believes in being thorough," Helen replied. "We brought enough supplies and personnel to make a real difference." Dr. Vex led them to the hospital complex. Inside, Helen saw her first alien patients. The disease was terrible. The victims lay in beds, their skin covered with dark spots, breathing with great difficulty. "The sickness spreads through the air," Vex explained. "It mutates quickly, so treatments that work one day fail the next. We have lost millions across our worlds." Helen and her team immediately began examining patients and taking samples. The disease was unlike anything they had seen on Earth, but the basic treatment principles were the same. After 4 hours of work, Paul approached Helen with test results. "Doctor, I think we can help these people. Our antiviral medications are showing promise, and the surgical procedures for lung repair should work on their biology." Helen felt hopeful for the first time since arriving. "Start treatment protocols on the most severe cases first. Outside, Captain Blake was conducting his own investigation. Commander Torres had detected movement in supposedly empty areas of the city. Blake decided to investigate personally with a small team. They found what appeared to be weapon storage facilities hidden beneath civilian buildings. The weapons were clearly not human, but they were also not consistent with the peaceful medical civilization the Coalition had described. "Captain, you need to see this," one of his soldiers called. Blake found sophisticated military equipment, including what looked like biological warfare research tools. The discovery made his stomach turn. "Torres, get samples of everything. I want to know what kind of weapons these are and who made them." Back at the hospital, Helen was focused on saving lives. Her treatments were working. The alien patients were responding well to Earth medicine. She felt proud that humanity's first contact was helping save lives. But her satisfaction was interrupted when Lieutenant Foster contacted her with an urgent message. "Dr. Martinez, Captain Blake needs to speak with you immediately. He says it's a security emergency." Helen left her patients reluctantly and met Blake at his command post near the landing site. "Doctor, we have a problem," Blake said grimly. "This isn't just a medical crisis. Someone has been using biological weapons here. The disease might not be natural." Helen stared at him in shock. "That's impossible. Dr. Vex said this was a natural outbreak." "Dr. Vex might not know the truth, or might not be telling us the truth," Blake replied. "Either way, your medical teams are in potential danger." Before Helen could respond, alarms began sounding across the landing site. Lieutenant Foster's voice crackled over the communications. "All ships, we have incoming hostile vessels. Unknown. Ships are approaching fast." Blake grabbed his weapon. "Doctor, get your people back to the ships now." Helen ran toward the hospital, her mind racing. Everything she thought she knew about this mission was wrong. They hadn't come to a peaceful world suffering from disease. They had walked into something much more dangerous. As she reached the hospital, explosions began lighting up the sky above them. The war had found them. The explosions grew louder as Dr. Helen Martinez ran through the hospital corridors. Alien patients looked at her with frightened eyes as the building shook from the blasts outside. She had to get her medical team to safety, but she couldn't abandon the sick people who needed help. "Paul, Lisa, we need to evacuate now," she called to her team. Dr. Garcia was in the middle of surgery on a young alien who would die without immediate treatment. "I can't leave this patient, Helen," Paul said without looking up from his work. 5 more minutes and I can save his life." Outside, Captain Blake's voice boomed over the communication system. "All medical personnel return to ships immediately. We are under attack by unknown vessels." Helen made a quick decision. "Lisa, help the other patients who can walk get to the ships. Paul and I will finish this surgery and follow you." Through the hospital windows, Helen could see bright flashes in the sky as the Earth warships fought with sleek black alien vessels. The USS Defender was firing its weapons at 3 enemy ships that had appeared from nowhere. Commander Nick Torres was coordinating the battle from his position on the ground. He had discovered more than just weapons in the hidden facilities. He had found evidence that changed everything they thought they knew about this mission. "Captain Blake, you need to hear this," Nick called over the radio. "I found communications equipment in the underground facility. These aren't random attackers. They call themselves the Xerian Empire, and they've been using the plague as a weapon." Blake dodged debris falling from the sky battle above. "Explain that, Torres." "The plague isn't natural, sir. The Xerians created it in laboratories. They spread it to weaken civilizations, then attack when the people are too sick to fight back. The Galactic Medical Coalition doesn't know they've been treating victims of biological warfare." Helen heard this conversation through her communication device and felt sick to her stomach. She had come here to heal people, but they had walked into a war zone. The disease she was treating had been created by the same beings who were now shooting at them. "Surgery complete," Paul announced, stepping back from the alien patient. "He should survive now." Helen helped Paul gather their medical equipment as they prepared to leave. But as they reached the hospital entrance, they saw something that made them stop. Dr. Vex, the alien doctor who had welcomed them, was lying wounded near the entrance. He had been shot by one of the attacking Xerion soldiers. "We can't leave him," Helen said, kneeling beside the injured alien. Helen, the ships are leaving, Paul warned her. If we don't go now, we'll be trapped here. Helen looked at Dr. Vex's injuries. They were severe but treatable if she acted quickly. You go, Paul. I'm staying with him. I'm not leaving you behind, Paul said firmly. Lieutenant Amy Foster's voice crackled over their communicators. Dr. Martinez, where are you? Captain Blake is ordering immediate evacuation. Tell him we have wounded and need 5 more minutes, Helen replied while working on Dr. Vex's injuries. Above them, the space battle was turning in favor of the Earth ships. Captain Blake had realized that the Xerian vessels were fast but lightly armed. His heavier warships could win if they worked together properly. All Earth ships, form defensive formation around the medical vessels, Blake ordered. These attackers are trying to destroy our hospital ships. The USS Defender and her escort ships moved to protect the Hippocrates and the other medical vessels. The Xerian ships were forced to attack through the Earth warships first. During the battle, something unexpected happened. Other alien ships began appearing in the system. But these were not Xerian vessels. They belonged to the civilizations that the Xerians had been attacking with their biological weapons. Commander Torres received a communication from one of the new arrivals. Earth vessels, this is Commander Zara of the Centauri Defense Force. We have been fighting the Xerians in secret. Your arrival has given us the chance to strike back. Blake realized they had allies they didn't know about. Commander Zara, coordinate with my ships. Let's end this threat. Down on the planet, Helen had stabilized Dr. Vex's injuries. The alien doctor was conscious and trying to speak. The Xerians. They have been poisoning my people for months, Vex whispered. We thought it was natural disease. We never suspected biological warfare. Why didn't the coalition realize what was happening? Helen asked. Because the Xerians are clever, Vex explained. They make the disease look natural. They attack different worlds at different times. No one saw the pattern until now. Paul helped Helen carry Dr. Vex toward their ship. The battle in the sky was ending as the combined Earth and alien forces overwhelmed the Xerian attackers. As they reached the Hippocrates, Helen saw something that surprised her. Alien refugees from across the system were arriving at their medical ships. Word had spread that the humans had medicine that could cure the Xerian plague. Dr. Martinez, Amy Foster called to her. We're receiving requests for medical aid from 12 different worlds. They all want Earth doctors to help fight the plague. Helen felt overwhelmed. This was bigger than one planet. The Xerians had been spreading their biological weapon across multiple star systems. Millions of people needed help. Captain Blake landed his shuttle near the medical ships. He looked tired but determined. Doctor, we need to talk. This situation is much bigger than we thought. Helen nodded. I'm beginning to understand that. Dr. Vex told me the Xerians have been using biological warfare for months. How many worlds are affected? According to our new allies, at least 20 systems have been hit, Blake replied. But here's the important part. The Earth medical treatments are working better than anything the other civilizations have tried. Commander Torres joined their conversation. Doctor, I analyzed the Xerion biological weapons. They designed the plague to be resistant to standard galactic medical treatments. But Earth medicine is different enough that our treatments are effective. Helen realized what this meant. So we're not just treating random sick people. We're the key to stopping a biological war. Blake nodded grimly. And that makes Earth a target. The Xerians won't want us spreading the cure to their victims. Dr. Vex, who was recovering in a medical bed nearby, spoke up. Captain Blake is correct. The Xerians will try to destroy Earth's medical capabilities before you can help more worlds. Helen felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She had thought she was coming on a simple medical mission. Instead, she found herself at the center of a galactic war. What do we do now? Paul asked. Blake looked at both doctors. We finish what we started. We cure the plague victims and stop the Xerians from spreading their biological weapons. But to do that, we'll need to work together in ways we never planned. Helen understood what he meant. The medical mission and military mission were no longer separate things. They would have to fight and heal at the same time. Captain, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stop this plague, Helen said. Even if it means our medical teams have to work alongside your soldiers. Blake smiled for the first time since the battle began. Doctor, I think this partnership is going to work out better than either of us expected. As the Earth fleet prepared to leave the Kepler system, they carried with them new allies, vital intelligence about the Xerian threat, and a growing understanding of their role in this galactic conflict. The war was just beginning, but Earth had already proven something important. Sometimes the greatest act of healing required the courage to fight those who spread disease and death. 2 weeks after the battle at Kepler, the Earth fleet approached the Xerion home system. Dr. Helen Martinez stood on the bridge of the Hippocrates, but the ship looked very different now. The medical vessel had been fitted with defensive shields and weapons. Helen still felt strange seeing guns on a hospital ship. Captain Ryan Blake's voice came over the communication system from the USS Defender. All ships prepare for final approach. Intelligence suggests the Xerians have prepared their ultimate weapon. Helen walked to the communication station where Lieutenant Amy Foster was coordinating with their alien allies. Ships from 15 different civilizations had joined the Earth fleet. All of them had lost people to the Xerion biological weapons. Amy, any word from the surface teams? Helen asked. Commander Torres and his strike team reached the planet 2 hours ago. Amy replied. They're moving toward the main biological weapons facility, but they're meeting heavy resistance. Helen felt worried. Nick Torres had become a friend during their mission. He was leading a dangerous assault on the Xerion laboratory, while she remained safely in space. Dr. Paul Garcia approached her with a medical report. Helen, I've been analyzing the samples we took from the last 3 worlds. The Xerians have developed a new plague variant. This one is designed specifically to kill humans. Helen felt cold fear in her stomach. Are you sure? The genetic markers are clear, Paul said. They studied our DNA from the blood samples we left behind at medical sites. This new weapon targets human immune systems. Captain Blake's shuttle landed in the Hippocrates hangar bay. He came to the medical section looking grim. Dr. Martinez, we need to talk privately. Helen followed Blake to a quiet corner of the medical bay. His expression told her the news was serious. The Xerians are planning to use their human-specific plague as soon as our ships get close to their planet, Blake said. They want to kill our medical teams before we can help more of their victims. How do we stop them? Helen asked. We need to capture their main laboratory before they can release the weapon. But that means sending a ground team into the most dangerous part of their facility. I need someone with medical knowledge to help disable their biological weapons. Helen understood what he was asking. You want me to join the ground assault team? I won't order you to do it, Blake said. But Torres needs someone who understands how biological weapons work. You're the only person who can help him shut down their plague production safely. Helen thought about all the alien patients she had treated. She remembered the frightened faces of children dying from diseases created as weapons. She made her decision. I'll go, she said. But I want Paul to command the medical operations here while I'm gone. Blake nodded. Fair enough. We launch in 30 minutes. Helen had never been in combat before, but she put on military armor and grabbed a medical kit. If she was going to help stop the Xerions, she needed to be prepared for anything. The shuttle flight to the planet's surface was rough. Xerion fighters attacked them all the way down, but the Earth escort ships protected the transport. Helen watched the battle through the shuttle windows and felt amazed by the skill of the human pilots. Commander Torres met them at the landing zone. His team had already fought through several Xerion defensive positions, but they were pinned down near the laboratory entrance. Dr. Martinez, I'm glad you're here, Torres said. The Xerions have booby-trapped their laboratory. We need someone who understands biological systems to help us get inside safely. Helen examined the laboratory entrance. The Xerions had created a complex security system that would release deadly toxins if triggered incorrectly, but Helen had studied their biological weapons for weeks. She could see the pattern in their security design. I can get us inside, she said. But once we're in there, we need to move fast. They'll know we're coming. The assault team moved through the laboratory corridors. Helen was horrified by what she saw. Thousands of biological weapons were being produced in massive factories. Test subjects from different alien species were being used to develop new plague variants. "This is worse than we thought," Torres said. "They're not just attacking the civilizations we know about. They're preparing to attack hundreds of worlds." Helen found the main control room where the Xerians managed their biological weapons program. The alien scientists inside were preparing to release their human-specific plague into the atmosphere. "Stop them," Helen called to the soldiers. "If that weapon gets released, it will kill every human in the system." The battle in the control room was fierce but brief. The Earth soldiers were better trained and equipped than the Xerian scientists. But during the fight, one of the Xerians managed to activate part of the plague release system. "Doctor, we have a problem," one of the soldiers called. "The containment system is failing. We have maybe 10 minutes before this place becomes a biological nightmare." Helen ran to the control panel and began working frantically. The Xerion technology was alien, but the basic principles were similar to Earth medical equipment. She could understand how it worked. "Torres, I need you to help me," she called. "I can stop the plague release, but I need someone to hold these control switches while I reprogram the containment system." Torres and Helen worked together, combining military training with medical knowledge. With 3 minutes to spare, they managed to shut down the plague release and secure all the biological weapons. "Control room secured," Torres reported over the radio. "All biological weapons are contained. The Xerion threat is neutralized." Back in space, Captain Blake received the report with relief. The combined Earth and alien fleet had defeated the Xerion space forces, while the ground team secured the laboratory. "All ships mission accomplished," Blake announced. "The Xerion biological weapons program has been destroyed." Helen and Torres returned to the Hippocrates tired but victorious. As they landed, Helen saw something that made her smile. Alien refugees were arriving from across the galaxy, no longer afraid of the Xerion plague. Dr. Paul Garcia met them at the shuttle bay. "Helen, you did it. We're receiving reports from every world we visited. The plague is being defeated everywhere our treatments have been distributed." Helen felt proud but also exhausted. The mission had been harder than anything she had ever imagined, but they had succeeded in stopping a galactic genocide. Captain Blake joined them for a final mission briefing. "The Galactic Alliance has officially invited Earth to join as a full member," he said. "Not just as medical advisors, but as protectors of peace." Helen looked at Blake and realized how much both of them had changed during this mission. She had learned that sometimes healing required fighting. Blake had learned that the best military victories were the ones that saved lives. "What happens now?" Amy Foster asked. "Now we go home," Helen said. "But we'll be back. The galaxy needs doctors who are willing to fight for their patients." Blake nodded. "And it needs soldiers who understand that the best weapon is sometimes a medical kit." The Earth fleet began its journey home, carrying with them new allies, new knowledge, and a new understanding of humanity's role in the galaxy. On the final day of the mission, Helen sent a message to Earth Command. "Mission report. We came to heal, stayed to fight, and proved that sometimes the greatest act of compassion is the willingness to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy expected medics, but they needed guardians. Earth provided both." As the fleet entered hyperspace for the journey home, Helen looked at the stars and smiled. Humanity had found its place among the civilizations of the galaxy. They would be known as the people who brought healing hands and protective strength wherever they went. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Earth would build a new kind of medical service, one that could heal and defend at the same time. Helen would lead that effort, combining the best of both worlds. The galaxy was a safer place because Earth had answered the call for help. And Earth was stronger because they had learned to work together in ways they never thought possible.